So you made it through part 1 of my adding and removing disks from a VM in Linux videos. No, you haven't. Well, pause this video and go check that one out first. I'll wait. Okay, did you check it out? All right, well, great. This is B from Talk Tech, and today I will be covering adding and removing physical drives from a Linux VM as part 2 of my adding and removing disks from VMs in Linux series. So, all right, well, before I get into that, though, I do have a favor to ask. If you like this type of video and want to see more content like this, make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell button for notifications. Also, don't forget to give the video a like if you like it, give it a dislike if you do not like it. Lastly, let me know what you like, didn't like, or have any questions down in the comments below. Let's do this thing. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my desktop here. All right, so one of the things that I want you to remember when it comes to seeing the disks attached to a VM in Linux is we're going to use the sudo versh dom block list. All right, and then the VM name. All right, there we go. And on our Ubuntu server VM here, we've got no secondary drives. We got this one just primary drive. All right, the one that was assigned at installation. So let me also show you another command here. And we've seen this command a few times in previous videos, lsblk, which will show you all of the block devices, or AKA your storage devices on your system, but it'll show both mounted and unmounted drives. And the reason we want to go ahead and use this one versus the other df-tac-h command is because this one will actually have the other drive here. Now, this other drive that I'm referring to is SDA, and it's partition SDA1. It's got 476.9 gigabytes that are available. So this is the one that we're going to be using for our external drive. And let me just show you here on our Ubuntu server VM that it's not currently there. So we've got just the regular one right here, and we've got the other loop devices and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to show you another thing here when it comes to this. Now, when we're talking about the location of a drive on the system, so this one, you see it says SDA and then SDA1. So that's going to actually be mounted at dev/SDA1. That's what, it's not going to be mounted. It's actually going to be, that's where it's located on your system. That partition is located at /dev/SDA1. So this is just like on your VM. So on your VM, it's going to be VDA is where the primary drive is going to be located at, and we can see that over here. And we actually got, that's the primary drive, and then all of the partitions are going to be just 1, 2, and 3. So those are just where they're actually located. Because remember, everything in Linux is a file. Now, when we're going to be adding physical drives to a Linux VM, to a VM in Linux, is you need to make sure that the VM is going to be running prior to executing the commands. We can already see that our VM is running, so that's not something that we're going to be worried about here. Now, there's a little warning I want to give you here. Now, for security reasons, you do not want to use the full disk, as there's some security concerns. So, before you actually assign a disk, make sure you partition it out. Now, I could show you that, but that's not going to be relevant to this specific video. That's something you want me to cover in future videos. Please go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. All right, and just as we've seen here, lsblk allows you to see all disk mounted and not mounted, and I'm just going to show you df-tac-h just for completion purposes. This one just has the mounted ones, and that's why we can see these two disks here, but we don't see them down here. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the commands. These are actually pretty easy commands. Going to be slightly different than the previous video that we were using virt.xml. In this one, we're going to go back to versh. We're going to do attach disk, and then we're going to do Ubuntu server, and then we're going to go ahead and put in the disk that we want to. We're going to do dev SDA1, and you'll hear me using disk, but I'm referring to, in this particular situation, the partition, because that's what you want to. That's what you're going to want to. You're going to want to assign to this VM, is you're going to want to assign that partition. So let's go ahead and do that here. And basically what this command is saying, it's like, yo, go ahead and attach the disk to this disk right here to Ubuntu server VM. All right, and make sure you run these commands either sudo or root. And oh, whoops, and I'm sorry, we forgot the target option. So we're going to do, and just like we had before, how we have over here, we have actually VDA, then we're just going to go in logical order, going VDB for this one and VDC for any other ones and all that good stuff. All right, perfect. And it's been attached successfully. And if we do a DOM block list, we can actually see it there. And let's trust but verify over here. We'll do an LSBLK and voila, we can see it down there. All right, now let's go ahead and go over removing this drive. Pretty similar command. We're gonna go in here, but instead of doing attach, actually, whoops, we're gonna get rid of this. And then we're gonna go ahead and go to the front of the line. We're gonna go over here and get rid of this. Detach, perfect. And if we run our DOM block list, again, we can see that it's gone. And then if we go over and check the VM, boom, it's gone. All right, well, I think this stuff is so cool that you can add physical drives to a VM. Just passing through anything is it just blows my mind. You know, I can sit here on, you know, my MacBook, you know, and say if I had, you know, if MacBooks had additional hard drives, I could pass that through, you know, or you're sitting there on your, you know, your regular Linux laptop, you know, you've got an extra slot and you've thrown an extra SSD in there, you can just pass that through. That is just so, to me, mind-blowingly awesome. Virtualization, in my opinion, is just one of the coolest technologies around, and it's just so prevalent in the world that we're living in now and the world that we're going into, which is why I like to cover this stuff, because this is going to be stuff that is going to be really, really relevant, you know, going forward. And, you know, it's going to not only be relevant going forward, but it's also going to make you just better at dealing with, you know, Linux and VMs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy to cover this content. So don't forget to check out the other videos in my Linux virtualization series. If you haven't done that already, if you've already done that, go and check out this other video. Lastly, thank you very much for watching the video and have the greatest of days.